right, today we are starting section 1.4. It's all about substitution. So our goal for today is to substitute values for given variables and then to simplify the expression. So first I just want to talk about what does the word substitute mean? And you don't need to write this down. But can you tell me, like, when you hear the word substitute, what comes to your mind? Somebody to replace somebody else. Very good. So like a substitute teacher, what does that mean? Like if I told you tomorrow I'm going to have a substitute, what does that mean for you?
A different teacher to put fill in your place.
Yeah, a different teacher in my place. So first I have to leave, right? One goes out, one comes in. Have you ever seen a sporting event where they substitute a player? The first player has to come out before the second player can come in, right? That is the same exact way we're going to do it in math. But we are substituting a number for a variable. Can anyone tell me what a variable is? You all had algebra last year, so I'm assuming you know what a variable is. What's a variable? A variable is a letter? A letter? You guys remember this? Like X or Y or Z, those are variables. So a variable is a letter in math. So we're going to take the letters out, we're going to put the numbers in. That's what it means to substitute. Just like substitute teacher. One teacher leaves, the other teacher comes in. Or in basketball, one player goes out, the other player comes in. That's what it means to substitute. Any questions on the vocabulary word substitute? All right, here is our first example. So I want you to go ahead and write what we're going to substitute. So we are going to substitute x equals 5 and y equals 2. So you can just write those. You don't have to write that big long sentence. So when x equals 5 and y equals 2, I want to know what the value of this expression is. So write that expression right now. Write what we're going to substitute. And then we'll do the work together. Now, anytime you substitute, I want you to put the number in parentheses. Sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't. So we're just going to get in the habit of doing it every single time. So in this example, I'm going to take the x out. What am I going to put in instead of the x? A 5. I'm replacing or substituting the 5 for the x. So x comes out, 5 goes in. Put it in parentheses. Write everything else until you get to another variable. Okay, I'm at another x, but instead of an x, what am I going to write? A 5. In parentheses. Still have the minus 12. Then I have a division symbol. I'm to another letter, but instead of a y, what am I going to write? A 2, and I'm going to keep that 2 in parentheses. Now, honestly, in this example, the parentheses aren't making a big difference, but in some, they make a huge difference. So just get in the habit of always writing the parentheses when you're substituting. So any questions on what we did there? We took all the letters out, we put numbers in. Remember, those letters in math class were variables. So all the variables are out, and the new value, which you'll find in the directions, is in. Now you just follow the order of operations. So what do I do first? 5 times 5, because we have an exponent right here. What is 5 times 5? Okay, and I'm just going to copy the rest of the problem just as it is. I see another exponent in the back. You can do that on the same step. What is 2 squared? Yeah, it's like 2 times 2, which is 4. Good. Questions? All right, what next for order of operations? Huh? Yes, we have to do division next in this particular problem. So I still have the 25 plus 5 minus, but instead of 12 divided by 4, what am I going to put? What? 3, because 12 divided by 4 is 3. Great. Now I'm to the step where it's all all addition and subtraction. So you can just add and subtract from left to right. What is 25 plus 5? And what is 30 minus 3? Very good. So the answer to this one is 27. Any questions? Now, there's a question on the bottom of this slide. It says, how does this relate to what we've been doing? It says yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. So last week, how does this relate to what we did last week? What did we do last week? Let's start with that. What did we talk about all last week? Order of operations. How does order of operations apply here? Do we do it? Do we not do it? We do it. I always, every year, have a student that's like, wait, I still have to follow the order of operations? I'm like, yeah, you always still follow the order of operations. So don't say like, oh, it's a new week. We already took a quiz over that stuff. I'm just going to do it however I want it now. You still use the order of operations. All we're doing is substituting first, and then it's just like the problems from last week. Questions before we look at some more? All right, here's the next one. Now, we're using the same x and y values, so if you want to rewrite the top part, you can, or if you want to just include this right under the last one, that's fine. But we are going to make all the x's 5 and all the y's 2.
Now,
Yes. Now, yes, what?
with the parentheses and the x and y in both of them, do we still put parentheses?
Yeah, so you still need the parentheses from the problem, right? And then anything you substitute in, write in parentheses too. So I'm still going to have instead of x a 5 in parentheses, and instead of a y a 2 in parentheses. Parentheses within parentheses, yes. Now, there are 2 reasons why all those parentheses are important. Number 1, if you forget the blue parentheses, you will forget to multiply the inside numbers before you do the exponents. Remember, you do inside parentheses first. And if you forget the parentheses on the inside, you might accidentally think that this is a 52. But it's not a 52. It's a 5 times 2. So there's 2 examples of why these parentheses are so important. Yes?
Why can't you just do the period thing for time?
You can. She said instead of parentheses, she wants to do the multiplication symbol like the dot. That's fine. A lot of students will forget that. And another reason I like the parentheses method is because when we get negative signs, it'll help you keep those straight. But for this particular example, honestly, if you didn't use the parentheses around the 5 and the 2, but you put the parentheses, or the multiplication symbol in between them, you'll still get the right answer. But this is the way I do it. I like the parentheses. That helps me just keep it all straight. All right, so we are working inside these parentheses. So what is 5 times 2? So I have 10 to the second power divided by 5 times 2. Then what?
Wait, 10 times 10.
10 times 10, because we have an exponent. That's 10 squared. What is 10 times 10? 100 divided by 5 times the 2. Did someone say they can't see? Am I writing too low? All right, I'll write up here, see if that helps. So the step we're on right now is 100 divided by 5 times 2. Now, I will tell you what, this is a place where I would see a lot of people go wrong. Order of operations says we do what next? I heard a few different answers. We actually divide first here because multiplication and division are at the same time from left to right, the way that you read. So, just because in the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, multiplication comes first, remember they're actually at the same time. So what is 100 divided by 5?
20.
20. And what is 20 times 2? 40. There you go.
When you put it in the calculator, they just give you the whole, you put it all in there, pop up the answer.
Awesome.
I did
Make
that.
sure you're showing your work, though, so you get credit. Yes, the calculator knows the order of operations, so if you ever want to check your work, that's fine, but make sure that you're showing me your steps along the way. What are your questions? All right, here's the next one. So we're looking at some new variables now. Instead of x's and y's, we have a's and b's. So in this particular set of problems, A is 3 and B is 4. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to have 3. And then in parentheses, instead of the B, what am I going to write?
4
A 4
minus 3.
minus 3. What is 3 times 4? What is 12 minus 3? 9. So the answer for this one is 9. What are your questions? Alright, same thing in the back. We have 2 times. B is going to be 4 squared minus 7 times 3. What do I do first? Someone said 2 times 4. So we do multiplication before we do exponents? Oh, we got to do 4 times 4 first. What is 4 times 4?
16.
So I have 2 times 16 minus 7 times 3. You can actually do all this multiplication at the same time. Since working left to right, they don't interfere with each other. What is 2 times 16? 32 minus, what is 7 times 3? 21. Very good. And what is 32 minus 21?
11.
11. Great. What questions do you guys have?
Please don't change it yet.
Okay. Alright, here's the next one. So we're back to x's and y's, but the x's and y's are a little bit different. In this case, x is going to be 3, y is going to be 4. So for the first one, I have 3 instead of the x, minus the parentheses from the problem, the negative sign from the problem, and then I'm substituting in a 4, so I'm putting that in parentheses. Again, sometimes the parentheses make a world of difference, sometimes they are not that important. But I always use them just to be on the safe side. Now, there is some simplifying you can do inside this parentheses. This is just a negative 4, right? So I'm going to rewrite that as 3 minus negative 4. I'm just cleaning up the parentheses as I go. What is 3 minus negative 4? Addition. And what is 3 plus 4? 7. Very good. Questions on that one? Alright, on the next one, I have parentheses from the problem. I'm substituting in for an x and I'm substituting in for a y, so I'm going to use parentheses there too. Instead of x, what am I going to write? And instead of y, what am I going to write? 4, and that's all to the 3rd power. What is 3 times 4? 12, so I have to do that first since it's in the big set of parentheses. And then I have 12 to the 3rd power. That's 12 times 12 times 12. I don't want to do that by hand, so this is a great time to use your calculator. 1,728 if you don't have a calculator. you're doing 12 times 12, taking that answer, which is actually 144, and multiplying that by 12. Have fun.
17.
I am not teaching you multi-digit multiplication. If you are confident enough with those skills that you're choosing not to bring a calculator, that is up to you. What are your questions? All right, here's the next one. The difference here is that, do you see that x has a negative sign? X is a negative 4. So make sure that inside the parentheses for your x, you're putting that negative 4. All right, so for the first one, I have the parentheses from the problem. Then I have parentheses for my x value, which is negative 4, plus parentheses for my y value, the parentheses from the problem, and the squared from the problem. What am I going to do? Negative 4 plus 8, because they're in parentheses. So simplify the parentheses before you do the exponents. What's negative 4 plus 8? Positive 4. The signs are different. Subtract the numbers, keep the signs. What is positive 4 squared? 16. Very good. And in the back we have y. I'm going to put the 8. The minus sign from the problem. I'm going to put the x value, which is negative 4. What's so special about this one? I have a minus, a negative. Minus a negative is like a plus. Very good. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Wonderful. What questions do you have? All right, there's one more example that we're going to look at as a class. When you guys are good. All right, this one's a little different. So this is saying, you tell me what S and T are. Oop, I forgot something very important on this. So let's say that I tell you that S over T, what does this S over T mean? S over T means divided by. So let's say we have a value S divided by a value T, and I'm telling you that I want you to make that equal to negative 2. So I'm asking you to tell me what S and T might be. So what is S? What is T if S divided by T equals negative 2?
Oh, I get it.
Anyone have an idea? Okay, negative 2 divided by 1. Does that work? So we would say S, which is negative 2, over T, which is 1. Does that give us negative 2? Is that true? Okay, good. Is that the only answer? No. Well, do you have another one?
Negative 4 plus 2.
So let's say that S is negative 4 and T is 2. Yes, I do want you to write one of the combinations. You can pick. So let's see if this one is right. If we have negative 4 for the S and positive 2 for the T, is this a true equation? Yes, right? This works. Now, would it be possible to have the T be negative? If the T is negative, what would the S have to be? Positive, because they're dividing to be a negative. So double check your signs on this. But there are 2 problems like this on your homework. So I'm giving you the answer, and you're actually writing the question. But remember, just because you don't have the same answer as everyone else doesn't mean you're wrong. There's just multiple answers that are acceptable. Questions? right, before your homework, let's wrap things up. So what does it mean to substitute? Like in general. We'll talk in life. What's the substitute? Something that replaces something else. It's actually the exact same when you're talking about a math expression. Something replaces something else. What's a variable? A letter. Very good. So if you see like an X, that's your variable. And then what's the order of operations? Yes, parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide. Remember, those are from left to right at the same time. Add, subtract. Do you guys have any questions before the homework? You did very good on the wrap-up.